What up, what up, what up? Shout out to everybody tuned in. You're watching the Enveonline Podcast. You're rocking with your host, Son of a Jones.
And the Mad Magazine owner, Azar Johnson.
Let's jump into it. We back. You know, we're jumping straight into hip-hop land.
Okay.
We still on the eve. I don't want to say the eve, but we're still in the 50th year of hip-hop.
Right, correct.
So, 2 podcasts ago, we gave a lot of flowers to Nas. We talked Nas up for what he did, with his tremendous impact.
Yes.
I want to go to another legendary figure in our culture that deserves their flowers this episode.
Okay.
He announced a few days ago that he's dropping an album November 24th, a day before my birthday, which is being executive produced by Timberland, Swizz Beatz, and Pharrell. The one, the only from Brooklyn, Busta Rhymes, man.
Yes, sir.
I thought it was very important to give Busta Rhymes his just due within our culture.
Facts.
As us in the media, I know magazine purists and hip-hop purists give him his flowers, but you don't hear his name floating around too much in the industry as being like a top 5 rapper.
Which he is.
And we're going to go there in this segment talking about Busta Rhymes. And the reason why I want to overly do it, like give him his stamp, give him all the accolades, because I think we need to do that while these hip-hop artists are here with us, while they're still young, while they're still successful, before they get old and quit. Like, he's here now. We need to celebrate Busta Rhymes now. Busta Rhymes has rapped through, I think my research, 5 different decades. He rapped through the 80s. He rapped in the early 90s. Because according to them, that's when they started the group when he was a teenager. He started the group with his friends in Long Island in the late 80s, early 90s. So you got the 80s decade. You got the early 90s when we heard of him. You got the early 2000s. You got the 2010s. And then you got the 2020. So technically, that's 5 different decades. I'm not saying 50 years. I'm saying he rapped through 5 different decades.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
facts.
I'm going to turn it over to you. And the reason why I'm going to turn it over to you is because I feel like you got a chance to be boots on the ground, growing up in that environment. You going to school in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You living through the golden era of hip hop.
Yeah.
So one question I have for you, being that you grew up in the environment in Brooklyn and got to enjoy that era, that prime, what ways did Busta Rhymes stick out amongst all the artists during that golden era in the early 90s?
And when he first came out, like before I went back to BK, he always like was like Sticky Fingers from Onyx.
Okay.
Like he always like anticipated his part. Like out of every song, he always anticipated his part. You know, and then when he was kind of shining out of the whole group, like Leaders of the New was Illmatic, all of them were, but he just got outshined the whole group with his flow and the way he came.
Can I cut in just a tad bit?
Yeah.
Do you think that came when he was featured on Scenario?
Yeah, that was his coming out party. I mean, for real hip hop heads, we already knew how ill he was, but Scenario introduced him to the world, because that single alone was everywhere. That single propelled. Then the remix when he did was even crazier. So I mean, once that happened, then Elektra said, "Yo, we kind of see what this guy can do. Let's sign him to a solo deal," and he did his thing, and he never looked back after that, which is crazy. But he's after that, and you got to remember when he came, I think that was 95, 94 when he did the solo album.
Oh yeah, solo album.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
the singles came early 90s.
No, before that, right? Yeah, he did The Coming, and it was crazy. Like every album he's had his formula. It's always been like, I don't want to say radio friendly hits he's had, but then he also has the stuff like that's the street that the hip hop heads can respect. If you go listen to every album, I don't think he's had one bad album. I think maybe there was one album that was so-so, and it wasn't even so-so. It just wasn't really pushed right. It was like, I think his last album on Elektra.
Okay.
But otherwise than that, Busta, and then you got to remember too, what we was talking about with Nas, unlike Nas, he kind of propelled the Flip Mode Squad. Everybody didn't come out of the Flip Mode Squad, but you had Rod Digger, who didn't have, no disrespect to these other females, but like wasn't over sexualized. She was just an illmatic female rapper that at the end of the day, you didn't even look at her as a female. You just looked at her as an ill rapper. Like she was that ill. And she went gold. You understand what I'm saying? So her album went gold. Rampage, his cousin, his album went gold. Flip Mode went gold. Flip Mode did big things with their album. So just to say, I mean, that's just how ill he had. He had an ill crew. And he came out of an ill crew from Leaders in the New School, solidified himself as an illmatic artist, then brought a crew along and solidified them as, like, Flip Mode will go down in history as an ill crew in hip hop, right? And then, I mean, he's like you said, he survived every era. He survived from coming out, I mean, when the East Coast was rocking. He survived even when the South was popping. He survived when the albums weren't selling, the DVD era was going on. He survived. He even dropped probably a classic album with the COVID era. He's done everything.
Pandemic Busta Rhymes was going in.
Oh my God, that album was ilmatic. It was probably a 9.5 on a Richter scale.
Extension level event number 2, the Wrath of God.
And the only reason I don't think it even got over the way it was supposed to get over was because of the COVID.
Pandemic. You couldn't travel.
Yeah. That was insane. And he's, what people don't talk about now, he's on tour with 50 Cent. And I mean, he's got a catalog. When we was talking about this before, he has a catalog so long. I mean, they don't have enough time for him to do a catalog like that.
Now, one thing I also want to bring up, I think some of the younger cats might forget, not us, but outside of his catalog, he's been in heavy with the films. He doesn't get enough credit as an actor.
Good point.
This is why I'm saying Busta Rhymes is in uncharted territory. The only other artist that would be worthy in hip hop mentioning with him obviously is Jay-Z and Nas.
Yeah.
And it's no disrespect to the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about album sales.
Correct.
I'm talking about the global impact Busta Rhymes has had on hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Dude rap through 5 different decades in hip hop.
Facts.
Shined on some of the biggest verses, as you brought up. And then did great. See, we attribute that to Tupac. Rightfully so. Tupac did his thing in films. But who other than Busta Rhymes did they thing in film as hip hop artists? Yeah, we had LL Cool J with that.
Yeah. I don't know.
But check Busta Rhymes' film credit.
The Higher Learning. Let me see, Shaft. When Samuel Jackson did it.
I didn't know he was in a Rugrat movie.
Word? He was in the right. I didn't even know that.
1998.
Halloween, Michael Myers, and he survived it, which is very rare for black people in an horror movie.
A movie called Strap before Higher Learning.
Yeah, I remember that.
So he has just as long as a filmography catalog than he does with his discography and music. Dude's in uncharted territory. And saying all that, with us giving him his flowers and recognizing him, when we check like the websites like Billboard and Complex, and when they come out with their lists, because it's their journalists that whatever, why do we not see Busta inching close within that 5 or 6 top artists of all time?
Oh, that's a good question. I think he's always done it independently, and that's not a shot at anybody else. I mean, 50 had G Unit, and I think G Unit went to Excel, J, Rockefeller. But Busta's never really, not that he needed to be, but he's never been part of that movement. He was never involved. Like when it was Bring Back the East Coast, he wasn't part of that. That was Nas, Biggie, Wu-Tang, all of them. He was part of it. I mean, he came out with some dope music, but he just never been part of that whole conglomerate. You get what I'm saying? Like he's always stood alone and always did his own thing. Yeah. He's always just stood alone and done his own thing. I think he doesn't get enough credit, and I think he's always been in some. It ain't always been great label deals. I mean, he went to Elektra, that was a good deal from the outside looking in. But I mean, J Records wasn't the perfect place. I mean, he did one album on Aftermath, which was dope. But he's never really been part of that, like had a team of a movement. Even when he had Flip Mode, I mean, you know, Flip Mode, but got so far. You know what I mean? It was crazy because it's like, you know, I really think if he kept pushing Flip Mode, he would have been solidified as definitely, not that he's not now, but he's just, I don't know. I don't understand why. I think
I know some of
that's
these
why
lists could be a little biased with the
Yeah.
journalists,
Yeah.
but I think there's some truth to what you're saying with that.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, I think, as I said last time, some of these lists from my end has to be refreshed. Has to be refreshed as we keep moving along, as hip hop keeps growing, because these guys are updating their catalog. Like I said with Nas, now he's coming out with an album. This is after people forget. Just a few months ago, or not too long ago, he put out a collab single, or he was featured on a single with Coi Leray. So he's still remaining relevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Coi Leray is becoming one of the hottest, I don't want to say pop, but I'll give her the hip-hop label, hip-hop/pop stars of the young generation. And Busta Rhymes figured out a way how to collab and make a hot record with her.
Right.
So he still knows how to make records at his age in this era.
Right.
And now you're giving him Timberland, Swiss Beats, and freaking Pharrell. What is your expectations for this album with those producers that I just named?
Pure classic. This guys has to be classic. It has to be at least on a scale of 1 to 10, it has to be 9.7. Like, they only be a 0.3 of a bad situation or a bad song or bad hook or something like that. But it, you know, knowing Busta, I don't think he's never not dropped anything that you know, like, oh God, I gotta, this ain't gonna work. Like, he's been the only thing he ever did that I was kind of looking like I ain't like that song. What was that? Get out of here, like that. I
Get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
That didn't stick with me.
It didn't stick, but it was still catchy.
Yeah. I think that was that album. That was the album that was, you
Okay.
know. But I you know, otherwise than that, Busta's, these always drop albums that have been 9 or better. Always 9 or better. And that's saying a lot. And you gotta remember, he comes from Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, all of them. He comes from that camp. That's where Leaders of New School really comes from, that camp. So now fast forward, he's in an era with Biggie and Nas and them and Jay and all around them. And then on top of that, fast forward, he's like Dolo with the Flip Mode Squad. This is when Jay and Rockefeller was blowing. And he had Flip Mode Squad relevant, and he was relevant himself. And then you fast forward past that, and you're just seeing like every music going down south, and he's still making himself relevant. Go listen to Cal's records; he's on them, original and remixes. So
I also want to give him some credit. And Busta has talked about this. If you could read between the lines of what I'm about to say, he doesn't get a lot of credit for being super conscious, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
For coming from the 5%ers.
Yeah.
Like, I was listening to the first on Scenario, and it was just a bar that he said real quick, and you have to be from a certain culture. He said something about eating idol soup. Now, to some people that might fly over your head if you're not Jamaican or come from Jamaican descent.
Yeah.
But if you understand what if you understand what eating idol is, it means eating pure food of the earth, not adding anything extra. He was talking like that back in 92 as a young teen or a 20-year-old. Then coming from where he comes from and kicking that knowledge, like he sneaks it in there. He doesn't get a lot of credit for that.
Some people say, like, you know, it was his voice or whatever. Sticky Fingers had a very distinct voice, and Sticky Fingers was an ill artist. I think he never gets any real credit either. Okay. Right? But I mean, when you talk about Busta, I mean, even he can do that fast flow. He can slow it down. I mean, just think about it.
Baritone voice.
Yeah, he can do all of it. There's nothing he can't do. So, I mean, you know, is it the God MC? He's one of the God MCs, like how Rakim is the God MC. He's one of them. You know what I'm saying? So Busta has solidified everything. I mean, he has nothing left. And you know what else? Let me also say this. He's like a ill performer on stage. If you ever seen him on stage, you got to go see him on stage.
And this is what we talked about when we got that clip that went viral a few months ago, where we talked about the old school rappers versus the new rappers, and what do we like to see improved on. And we touched on the show. If you guys go up on our TikTok or wherever it's at, we talked about how some of these rappers can't perform, how they're pulling back shows because they're not selling out concerts the way they used to. Right. But 50 Cent and Busta Rhymes can. And then when you see the clips, because you went to the show live, not going to say what state, but you went live, and you told me how ill the show was. Yep. Can you just touch on how Busta, at his age, he's healthy, he's in shape, he's bouncing around for an hour. Can you talk about Busta Rhymes' performance?
Yeah, he came out on stage with the belt in his chair. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen Busta perform at least 3 or 4 different times, and it's always like pure energy. It's like 100% energy. Even like he's doing the whole thing with the mic, and I mean it's if you're like an artist, you gotta go see a Busta Rhymes show. It'll tell you like what you need to be, how you need to perform.
Bring that bar back. Say that again.
Yeah, if you're an artist, you have to go see a Busta Rhymes show. That'll tell you how you need to perform. If you can't perform at that level, then you shouldn't be doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I think Busta is who Busta is, and I mean like not to be funny, but you know DMX is a guy that can do that level. There's only few MCs that can do what Busta does.
DMX.
There's only few MCs. I seen some artists, they just be standing around, or they can't really perform.
He got on 50. He was telling a joke, but he said, "Yeah, 50, you think you could get me with just doing this with your hand movement?" Yeah, he said, "You're gonna have to turn up to get Busta Rhymes, man."
And he did. 50. Well, you could tell 50 like went back in the show. He has like a live band. Okay. And he has dancers, and Yayo and Murder's in there, and they're doing their thing. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. But Busta, he just kind of sits out there with his catalog with him and Spliff Star. That's a crazy. And I think Jeremiah came on the stage at one point. So Busta is just, I mean, all his. And you know what's crazy? The whole crowd sings his song. I've been at shows where the crowd don't even know what they like. What are you doing? Not with Busta. Whether Busta was on the, I think he was on the Puff tour. I know he came up to SUNY Albany at one point. He ripped that down. Okay. I seen him on a 50 Cent tour. And there was another tour he was on, and I saw him, and he was just ripping it. I mean, what you see in those videos of him doing what he does, that's right on stage. Same energy. It's the same thing. Some artists, you don't see that. You don't see it. They don't do what they're promoting on the TV. You be seen like, yo, this is all you got? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, definitely. But go ahead, though.
Nah, great explanation. With us talking about Busta Rhymes going through the eras that he went through, and you being in that time period in Brooklyn, boots on the ground through your college years and so forth, give me one of your favorite Busta moments.
What I seen in person or
music in general? This is a time period where he's like, yo, Busta got this.
I remember when I was down there in New York, and this was the year. This is when Jay's Hard Knock Life album came out, the whatever volume 2, whatever you want to call it. And I remember he had the Flip Mode Squad. And I remember that album came out, and I never had heard nothing like that before. Him and DJ Scratch. Scratch was doing most of the production on that. But I remember he had released it, and it was just, hit after hit, single after single. I'm still kind of pissed because let me tell you a story. Like one day, back then, for people that don't know, because it's now digital era now, there used to be a thing called street teams.
Yep.
So
talk about it.
Busta Rhymes had Flip Mode Squad had to do a signing up in the Bronx. I remember everybody was out there. Everybody was outside. They were supposed to be there like around, I don't know. I remember we went up there. I was part of like the Loud SRC street team. I was assistant, with that. And Busta Rhymes had went out. He was supposed to, him and the Flip Mode was supposed to come. I don't know. I think we left around like 6 o'clock, man. We just couldn't wait no more. Like they didn't show up. But we would thought the whole Bronx was outside, just waiting to see those guys. So just to say, I guess the point of the reason why I love that is that I think that's when I started seeing him. I started looking at him in a different light. You know what I'm saying? Like a top MC, he was on popping, and he had the Flip Mode Squad popping. But I think his highlight to me is when he joined Aftermath, and when he finally he had Scratch already, but when he joined when he got Dr. Dre behind him, it was, oh my God. Those are the two times when I saw Bust and I was like, yeah, he got the belt. He's definitely got the belt. And he was shining months or months, and that was the time of 50's at his peak, Eminem's at his peak, and they all rocking.
Would it be fair if this album comes out in November 24th, executive produced by Swiss Beats, Pharrell, and Timbaland, and he knocks it out the park? Would it be fair to now put Busta Rhymes in the overall top 5 of all time?
Yep. Facts.
Because I think people have lists with eras, and I get those lists, like the top 5 of the eras, but I think there's a cross-generational list.
Aside from the street stuff, I'm going to leave that alone because I don't like talking about people's business. Aside from the street stuff, you ever notice nobody ever want to battle him? Whoever really wanted to battle him? Name one person that really wanted to battle. I don't care what Jay said, he didn't want that smoke. That might have been one he might have been thinking about.
That's an interesting point.
I know I heard the story about they was in high school when Jay beat him, but let's be honest, man. You really want to? How come nobody's ever done a versus against Busta? Who really wants to do that?
I told people what would be a good versus. This is when people said nobody wants to do a versus Eminem. I thought I thought both of them would go at it stylistically.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a great verse. Busta Rhymes versus Eminem. It would be a classic.
Yep.
Because their style of rhyming.
Right. So I don't know what, like, I notice nobody ever goes after him lyrically. Nobody. I don't know one person. I think Ja Rule, that was when he signed to Aftermath, and we all know what that was. But I mean, nobody ever lyrically wants to challenge Busta. Not one person. Not one. Side note too, him and MOP just need to stop and make an album together. I don't know why they just keep playing games like this.
You hit that one out of left field.
Yeah, they need to just make an album together. I don't know.
You got a couple minutes going on that.
They always if you heard Annie Up remix, they did that. Then they did another joint, and they also did the one on ELE2. They did the original version, and then they did a remix. I mean, it's just, Busta is just, him and MOP, every time they get together, it's like what Vodka and Milk was Prodigy saying. It's just always off the chain, man. It's always like, it's always a top level, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's never a disappointment.
Okay.
Never a disappointment. You know what I mean?
Busta Rhymes, MOP. Can we get a collab album after you drop this hotness, November 24th? Can we get an MOP Busta Rhymes album?
Come on, man. Put it on the bucket list, Bus.
Please, for hip-hop.
Just put it on the bucket list.
We need that.
We definitely need that.
MOP, Busta Rhymes.
We need it as bad as when the Lox and Dipset did the verses, man. It kind of reminded us what New York is. And New York really was, and it really is. Because I think we forgot who we were.
Now let me put you on the spot. Mm-hmm. If they did that album, excuse me. If we got the Busta Rhymes MOP collab album that we're just throwing in the universe, who should produce it?
Oh boy, Scratch has got to be on there clearly. Scratch, because he has the perfect chemistry with him. Is it more than one producer?
They could.
Okay, Scratch, Dr. Dre, Hit Boy.
Oh yeah.
If I gotta do one more, Heat Makers.
Uh-oh. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think those
like
four
Heat
guys.
Makers, MOP, and Busta Rhymes record.
Yeah. Those would be the four producers I would do.
So Enveonline is pitting out in the hip hop universe. Please Busta, please MOP.
Yeah.
If you guys have time outside of touring, see if y'all can do a collab album for hip hop, man.
Right.
That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be.
So we're gonna stick in the hip hop lane. Okay. I want to highlight an album that I saw come out that I'm just gonna throw out there. An album that just came out. It's a collab project with two of the former Slaughterhouse artists, with Crooked Eye from the West Coast and Joel Ortiz from Brooklyn. I just gotta quickly touch on that. It's called Pardon me. It's called Prosper. You can go stream it. Joell Ortiz, Crooked Eye, Prosper. Great production. They start the album off crazy with the Tale of Two Cities. They're giving the West Coast perspective and the East Coast perspective, and both of them are tearing it down as MCs. I like to hear hip hop like that because them two still sound hungry. So if you're looking for some good hip hop, go stream Joell Ortiz and Crooked Eye, the Prosper album. Them two doing good work.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, I gotta check that out. I don't. Joell Ortiz, I don't know what his thing is. I don't know why he got so quiet. Maybe he's explained that on the album. But I mean, even with before Slaughterhouse and during after, I always wanted to know what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to know. I always wanted to hear what Joell Ortiz. He was another one. He never like got the credibility.
Okay.
You dig what I'm saying? Like he did, but I mean, I just think you're not gonna appreciate him until he's like done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you're gonna appreciate who and what he is, you know.
So staying in hip hop lane, because we got potentially 2 more topics before we switch gears. Your boy Suge Knight from the jail cell is pitting out, however he's pitting it out, talking about he wants to do a podcast.
Oh, Lord.
And I thought it was important that we touch on this just briefly, not waste too much time. So for the younger cats, Suge Knight is a former owner of Death Row, was industry muscle. He did some great things with Death Row. I will give him his credit. But everything he touched eventually crumbled.
Turning doo-doo.
The empire went down the drain from his actions, and now he's in jail at the late 50s. He's in his late 50s for 28 years because he ran over somebody. Still trying to be the old Suge Knight of the 90s. And knowing everything we know about Suge Knight, in your opinion, why should we turn our back on this potential podcast and not even give it the light of day?
Because it's ignorance and stupidity, and you're like a 50-year-old grown-ass man. Come on, man. And you ain't even a 50-year-old grown-ass. It's not like you like Slick Rick or you like, you know, like how Nori is doing now, or, you know, if you want to go do a podcast like that and you were free, but see, everybody knows it's going to be drama. Everybody knows it's going to be something you're going to say slick out your mouth. Let's just be honest about this. You know why we shouldn't listen to him? Because he's the same person that got Tupac killed. Nobody's going to acknowledge it. Nobody wants to take responsibility. Like he got Tupac killed. He was responsible for all that. He was responsible for the fall of Death Row. He manipulated and lied to his artists. He tried to strong arm and bully people, and it caught up in the end. And at the end of the day, him talking tough and riding on the East Coast, because that's what he tried to do and start mess with Puffy. You never did nothing to the people that originally did something to Pac. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful or rude, but I saw a clip the other day. You know, you be watching YouTube or something, and clips be popping up. Yo, check this out. So it was this clip of Little Sean when he was on Drink Champs. And I remember Little Sean when he first started his Instagram. Go with me here. And he was talking about a lot of the incidents in his life. You can go check his Instagram. He's talking about it in all his feeds. So the dudes that were involved in that situation, I don't understand why you ain't just go ride on them. They were around. But the point I'm making is that at the end of the day, this guy was responsible for the downfall. He showed the ignorance of why we don't want to deal with you, because look at all the ignorance you brought in. It's been numerous times. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's been numerous times. All you do is talk crazy. All you do is you bring a dysfunction, a negativity. There's nothing good you're ever going to bring from it. So you have nothing. You don't even own Death Row anymore. Shout
out to Snoop.
Yeah. So you if you would just focused on business and did what you were supposed to do, then Death Row would still be popping. But you were so busy trying to lie, manipulate, and take control of people and backstab people, you ended up right where you belonged. And I don't want to hear a podcast about nothing about that mess, because at the end of the day, all it does is spread negativity. He's in jail. Do y'all really want to join him? Who wants to listen to this guy? This guy was a clown. He was a backstabber. That's all he did, was try to manipulate and lie. People say, yo, he did look out, for artists with publishing and all that. Let me ask you something. I get that he is right because he knew the business, but he used that as a manipulation tactic to pull other artists from around there. What has he ever really done? You got Tupac killed, man.
I want you to put a pin in that point, because I'm going to touch on that with the last hip hop topic. Suge Knight, as an elder to Pac, supposed to be a mentor, got Tupac killed.
Facts.
I need everybody who's going to listen to this, put a pin in that, because I'm going to use that as an example when I talk about Doeboy, the artist from Cleveland. Go back.
Like he got, you know, when Pac came over to Death Row, Lil Sean's talking about this too. He said that Suge was behind that whole situation. He said, yo, if you ever look back at it, Pac wasn't talking about who did what to him until he got with Suge. And then it was East versus West Coast. I mean, look how ignorant he was. Look how ignorant he was. He was starting trouble, starting mess, and at the end of the day, what did it really do? You lost Dr. Dre. You lost Snoop. You lost everybody. You could have had, if you had kept everything together. I mean, you had people. Dog Pound. You had people. Let me tell you about the ignorance. You had people walking into your label getting beat up for no apparent reason.
Danny Boy, who seemed to stay loyal to the very end.
We all know about the Sam Crooked Eye did too. We all know about the Sam Snead story. How he beat up Sam Snead. You know, I mean, look, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's what you're doing to your own people. Jimmy Iovine wasn't doing that to you. He didn't make you do that. Because I hear the little comments he be making. Well, you know, Jimmy Iovine seemed to be playing the puppet master. No, he didn't, dummy. You was ignorant. You did what you did, and you played what you played, and now you paying the price. You getting people beat up, man, for nothing. You threatening and bullying people, and at the end of the day, Drain, Iovine, all them, everybody that left you got better. They all got better situations. You even tried to win. Master P even talked about it. He said, yo, when I first came to Cali, Suge was saying that there's not enough room for us. So, I mean, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Really? You ignorant bastard. What are you talking about?
You said Master P said that?
Yeah, he told
Just
me.
think of what they could have did if they stuck together.
No, he don't want to stick together. He wants to. What he wants to do is run, control, bully, lie, manipulate, and take money. Tupac had no money when he died. He died
Not the money
broke.
He was supposed to have.
Right. He died broke. So I mean, this guy.
You know what was most disheartening recently when Keefe D got locked up because they interviewed Suge Knight and said, "Would you testify?" Nah, I wouldn't testify. I knew Keefe D when he was young. We played football together. So you vouching for the person who was in the car that killed Tupac?
Did you hear what Keefe said about that? How he's like, Tupac was dancing around the car.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, son. And you still walking around?
I'm talking about what Suge said.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's my little homie. We used to play Pee Wee football.
How does Suge allow that to still walk around?
Thank you.
How? Even Mob James said, he said, yo, when we came back from Vegas, it was going to be on. And it did go on. But I don't know how Keefe was walking around and like nobody got at him. Nobody said anything. Nobody did nothing. You see what I'm saying? So you only did it to people you thought you could do it to. To people that wasn't scared of you, you wasn't going to do that.
He didn't do it to that barber that knocked his ass out.
No. He didn't. Let me say this. I think.
Because 50 talked about that. He said you saw the allure of Suge Knight starting to go down when that barber knocked his ass out.
You don't have the gang no more. You don't got the crew. You don't have Mob James and them ready to jump up and beat somebody now. You don't have that no more. Because you don't know who played them and did them dirty. You basically was acting like the N-word. I don't want to admit that I was that, but he's acting like the N-word. You were acting like what the perception is of how people in society look at us.
And let's go here real quick before I transition to the next topic. The reason why it hurts so bad because, not hurt so bad, but when you really know the story, everybody that really knows Suge Knight said he turned gangster late in life. Yeah. Not saying he didn't grow up in Compton. Yes, he grew up in Compton.
Right.
But everybody said he grew up in a 2-parent household, who went to school, who got good grades, who played football in high school and college. It was when he got out of college from playing football and he's like 6'4" or whatever his height is, 350 pounds, and he's a statue, he's so brolic. That's when he started his reign in terror. Were you doing? I saw pictures of him with the Jerry Curl holding a football.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, he was a good guy.
Yeah, you're a funny dude.
Marion was a good guy. His name is Marion.
Yeah.
Nobody was scared of Marion with the Jerry Curl.
Yep. And he had the crew. He had the B gang. You know what I mean?
But
it's just ignorance, man. That whole thing is ignorance. And there's somebody else. I'll never name their names, but because me and you've talked about it off the air. I mean, what is your goal? What's your end goal? What is your end goal? All you keep continuing to do is try to cause drama. And at this point with Suge, who wants to hear the story? How many times are we going to hear this Death Row story? How many times are we going to hear the Death Row story? All of them end up leaving broke. Till they went on to better situations. Rage ended up leaving broke. Snoop had to get out of there. Master P got him out of there. Corrupt didn't have no money. That's why he went over to Artemis. A lot of people keep forgetting about that. That wasn't Death Row. That was another label. He got out of there. Dre got out of there. They all left. And they all left. And every time somebody left, it was all better situations than what it was.
Yeah, so I hope hip-hop as a whole turn their back on him. That podcast that him and whoever's behind him puts out.
Him in jail. Nobody cares about that, man. Go sit in jail and do your time like a man. Reflect on hopefully just living your last days, man. Just being who
make
you
amends.
Be. Yeah, like come on. Might want to hear what you got to say.
So here's the last hip-hop topic before we transition into other stuff. So I sent you a video clip either today or yesterday.
I saw it. Yeah, God, Jesus.
So here's the context for the audience. The person I'm talking about is an artist from Cleveland by the name of Doeboy. Before I go in, I'm going to give him his praise. The kid's been grinding for a while. Now, I don't want to call him a kid because he's actually almost 30 years old. He's a grown man.
Okay.
I need people to put a pin in that when I talk about the situation. Mm-hmm. He's been grinding. He's been putting out mixtapes since 2010, since he was 16. Mm-hmm. He has some classic mixtapes. So he had a Boys in the Hood mixtape, and this is where I remember him from because he had a popular producer by the name of Lex Luger.
Okay.
If you understand production, then you remember who Lex Luger is. Also had mixtapes with the hosted by the Trapaholics. See, these are classic mixtapes. When you got Trapaholics on a mixtape, that meant something back in 2011 and 12 and so forth.
Right.
So he's no rookie to the industry. He built his platform up so much that he got songs with Moneybagg Yo, got songs with Future. He had LeBron James quoting his lyrics. Wow. So this is a big art. This ain't no little nobody. This is a big artist out the Midwest. Mm-hmm. Recently, he released a track with a 9-year-old, Little RT.
Oh, Lord.
And you might say, what's wrong with that? You know, the little kids deserve their shine if they're talented. It's not that he was on a track with the 9-year-old. It was what the 9-year-old was saying in the song. The 9-year-old was spitting pure genocide. And I'm not saying 9-year-old like he looked 9. No, he's literally 9. He wasn't 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. It was a baby, a 9-year-old. Talking about get the Glock, shoot him in his face. This all the 9-year-old was rapping. And the reason why I'm passionate and talking about this because I have an 8-year-old.
Yeah, my son's about to be 7.
I also have, and I'm not going to tell you how many or what their names is or who they related to, but I also have numerous nephews. Too many. I done lost count of how many nephews I got in my family.
Right.
So I'm an uncle, I'm a father. I know what 8-year-olds are doing, even the advanced ones. They're not rapping genocide.
Yeah.
SMD, she gonna suck my da-da-da-da-da. And then after that, if you talk to me, I'm gonna put you on the ground, got the Glock, walk them down. I'm like, huh? So that's not the most, I'm just giving you guys the context.
Right.
The context. The part that made me want to speak out is when he started getting backlash, instead of him saying, you know what, I hear you guys, he got on social media and said, well, you guys, I don't know if you're from my type of neighborhood, but the kids in my neighborhood are getting down like that at 8, 9, and 10. And when they're getting down like that, I just wanted to help the little homie out, and this is his way out the hood. Huh? I had to listen to it again. Yo, you know, you guys are tripping. Y'all hating on him. This is actually going to help him more than it's going to hurt him.
Right.
Excuse me? How is a 9-year-old literally rapping about got the Glock, I'm going to shoot him in his face, walk him down, going to help a 9-year-old? You're literally speaking genocide. I'm from the era that words mean something.
Yeah.
When you put that in the universe, that stuff can come back to you. So it was the fact that knowing when I looked up his age, I'm like, yo, you're a 30-year-old man. All the people in the music video are standing around this little boy encouraging it. So I'm like, do y'all see the optics? A whole bunch of grown black men are around a 9-year-old while he's talking about shooting somebody in the face with a Glock. Now, before I finish giving my spill, what are your thoughts on that?
Pathetic and sad. pathetic and sad. You have a 9-year-old kid. Wow.
By the name of Little RT.
Where's his parents, man?
The song was called 60 Miles.
Let me give you an example. I remember Illegal and Crisscross on them, and they
Thank you for bringing that
like
up.
That. They wasn't rhyming like that.
That's where I'm gonna go.
They was only like 4 more years older, and they didn't even rhyme like that. What are you doing, man?
So when he said I wanted to help him out, you got to remember, I come from the era of Little Bow Wow, and I'm gonna give Little Bow Wow his credit, even though a lot of the internet be trying to shame him and try to play him. No, Little Bow Wow and Little Romeo enter in the game before they were 10. And what JD did for Little Bow Wow, having writers like Nelly write for him, they turned him into a young child superstar. They had him writing about age appropriate things.
Right.
They had him rapping to little girls his age. And then he grew into the material as a teenager as time went on. That's how you help a young child if you really sincerely wanted to help him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about some stuff outside of hip hop just as a culture, as men. But just put a pin in that. If you wanted to help him, Doeboy, a.k.a. Mr. Mustafa, because you have a Muslim/African name. So I take some offense to that too, because when your parents or you converted your name, they pitting something on you. They're speaking life into you. That name is important. So you have to act like that outside of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in your family, whether it's you or whether it was your parents, had knowledge of self to name you that. So you in return have to hold that responsibility, because now you yourself ain't 21, 22. I looked at the Wikipedia. The guy's 29. He'll be 30 in 2 months. You're a grown man. You're a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
If you really wanted to help the young 9-year-old, the best way, hey, sign him up for some music lessons.
I don't know.
Sign him up for music. Buy him an MPC. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Because you know where I'm gonna go with this.
Yeah.
If he learns how to make music, maybe he can produce your album.
Yeah.
You know who was a young prodigy? A-Rap Music from Dipset. He was like 13, 14 when he was on that MPC starting out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got in the game and became a monster.
Right.
So I'm not saying don't get him involved in hip hop. Either write age appropriate lyrics or get him learning how to play instruments.
Mm-hmm.
That would take him farther than rapping this. Pardon me, because what I'm scared of is, God forbid, something happens to that young boy. How would you face his family then?
Facts.
When he's 9, 10, 11, if somebody says, yo, ain't that little kid that was been talking like this for the last 4 years?
You mean like what, in Power, right? Yeah. The kids get down.
Not
like
just
that.
in Power. There's a real life story. I'll give an example. There's a story that comes out of Chicago. I guess the kid name is Little Yummy.
Mm-hmm.
People in Chicago already know what I'm talking about. Go look up the documentary on a little kid named Little Yummy and that story. Then you'll correlate with what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's just on the music industry side. But now I want to speak not as Son of a Jones from Enveonline. I want to speak as Deshaun to Mr. Mustafa, man to man. Somebody who's a few years older than you. I'm in my 30s. You're about to be 30.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take a better responsibility for the young kids around us growing up. I'm not saying be in their business. I know you're not their father. I know you're not so-and-so. But if we have that much influence, if these kids want to be like us, we can easily steer them in the right direction.
Right.
You got something you want to add?
No, I'm just amazed that I never thought I'd see the day where I see a 9-year-old rapping like that. And when I saw the video, because I think you sent it to me.
Send you the video
I think like 45 seconds in, I was
You had to turn it off.
Yeah, I was like, no, I can't listen to this. This is just, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I know what they're going to try to say. Oh, hey, he's just a kid. It's cute. It's going to sell. Why would you want a kid? Why would you want a little kid? Why would you listen to a little kid rapping like that? First of all, if you're a grown adult, that's not cute or funny at all. Second of all, I know I wouldn't let my son listen to nothing like that. I don't know. Mm-mm.
I guess what it got me is when he was like, yo, you guys, if you're from the type of neighborhood I'm like, then you know that the little kids get down like that. Mm-hmm. Since I'm a few years older than him, I'm going to give him some game. When we were like that, if you were trying to act out at 8, 9, you would get smacked behind your head, and your older cousin should have kicked you in your behind and said, "Yo, go pick up a football and go somewhere."
Yeah.
See that little basketball court? You go over there.
Right.
You too young right now.
Right.
Come back when you 13, 14, or 15. Not that I'm condoning it, because I still don't want to see the 13-year-olds do that.
Right.
But you gotta wait till you get some age, man.
Right.
Now, to the point that I said when I told you to put a point in it when you said Suge Knight got Tupac killed, I want to touch on that. The reason why I agree with what you said is now that we're older. See, when Tupac died, I was a child. I was like 10, 11, or 12.
Yeah,
I was a child.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older and I can review the situation, you're 100% right. He was a few years older than Tupac. He knew the culture. He grew up in that, and he had influence. He could have easily said, "Yo, Pac, I understand you want to be loyal, but you need to chill out. You didn't grow up here. Yeah, right. You came over here when you was 17, 18, but you didn't grow up out here."
Right, right.
So look, you want to be down, cool, but I need you to stay away from this.
Right.
But he was encouraging it. We heard the stories of beating up people in a death row studio session in the bathrooms and so forth. I'm not going to get into that. So yeah, ultimately his decision-making got him killed.
Right.
Going over to Doeboy. You allowing this and pretty much telling people in his reply, he's like, "Well, if y'all don't like it, F y'all, suck my."
Wow.
What will be on you if, God forbid, something happens to this 9-year-old, or even in a year or two when he's 10 or 11? How would you be able to handle that outside of sending a few dollars to the family for a funeral?
Facts.
Because I'm going to go here with this.
Facts.
Again, this is Deshaun talking to Mr. Mustafa.
Right.
Here's one of the saddest things I saw growing up in our communities. Have you ever been to a funeral of somebody who died of gun violence?
Yeah.
I've been to a few funerals.
Yes.
So what started to happen to me is, obviously the first couple ones you're in shock because they happened when I was very young, 17, 18, 19. The last two that I went to, I'm not going to say their names because their families is still out here.
Right.
One of the worst thing that I noticed at the funerals was not the parents crying, not looking at my homie in the casket, not looking at his kids crying, was when I glared over to the right and I saw those supposed OGs that was around him in the corner looking goofy, and they couldn't look the family in the eye because deep in their heart, they knew that they were the reason that young man is sitting in the casket.
Yeah.
See, this ain't Son of a Jones. This is Deshaun talking to Mustafa. The saddest thing I saw at a funeral from one of my homies wasn't that he was in the casket, wasn't his parents crying, wasn't his child crying. It was me knowing the politics of our community and seeing some of the OGs in the corner looking the goofiest of the goofies. Because when they could have stopped them from doing certain things or could have influenced them to go certain ways, they was parading and cheering. But then when he's in the casket, everybody's fake crying in the corner. But you didn't have no words for the family. You couldn't look at the family in the eye because they know you the goofiest of the goofies. See, that OG word needs to get reprimanded from a lot of y'all because being an OG is about giving game, leading the youth away from the graveyard and the jail cell. A lot of y'all not. A lot of y'all just, y'all 27, 28, 29, 30 hanging around a bunch of teenagers, putting them in bad positions, knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
There's no way if you're 29, 30, 31, 27, you're of that age and you're hanging around a 17-year-old and just encouraging him to do what he's doing. And then when he goes to jail, oh man, the little homie was about that life. Oh man, my homie was a real one. He got shot 5 times.
Right.
You don't want to stop that? What type of OG is that?
Facts.
So that's the message I want to send to the Mustafas of our community. When you get of age and you have an influence and you have a platform, we as men have to hold ourselves responsible in how we raise up these young men. Because we claim we want that power. We claim we want to be the men of the community.
Yep.
We talk about how we want people to respect us. If we cannot protect the women and the young children in our community, especially the young men that look up to us, then we don't deserve that respect.
Yep. Got
anything you want to add on to that?
I just can't get over what I saw. I'm looking at this kid like, yo, you only 9 years old.
9 years old, and every other word out of his mouth on that record was, I got a Glock, I'm going to walk him down. I know some advanced 9-year-olds, and they still don't talk like that.
You think he's Kennard from The Wire or something? Like, what are you doing, man? Wow. I don't think there are words for that. I'm going to be honest with you. I got no
It's not words. It was just the imagery. I'm looking at a whole bunch of grown black men, especially looking up his age. He's about to be 30. Condoning this, and then you get online instead of saying, all right, guys, I hear you. Well, y'all hating on a little homie if y'all don't like it, SMD. Again, I'm going to say it again. The saddest thing I saw at one of my homies' funerals was not him laying in a casket, was not his children crying, was not the family crying, was looking in the corner to those so-called OGs that I know from the community, and they was looking goofy because they couldn't look the family in the eye. A lot of y'all OGs need that title reprimanded. We need to get back to owning up to us when we're getting older. See, we come from an era where the older cats was cool with growing old.
Yeah.
Now y'all 30 and 40-year-olds want to take the 18-year-old spots. Y'all want to date the 20-year-olds. Y'all want to hang in the clubs with the 20-year-olds.
Oh, God.
So y'all don't got no game to give the 15-year-olds, the 12-year-olds, and the 9-year-olds because y'all think like them. That's what I'm trying to get across. The reason why you can't separate yourself from the 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds because y'all think like them. Right. Y'all dressing like them. Y'all hanging in the clubs they're in. Y'all trying to date their women, which is wrong. And then when you're looking for some type of guidance, you can't give it to them because you're in the same mindset. Wow. So I hope this message somehow reaches Mr. Mustafa, not Doeboy the rapper. Talking about Mr. Mustafa, the person that gave him that name. And then us as men start acting accordingly to the younger men around us so we can uplift our community. That's where I wanted to go with that. I had to touch on that because that was one of the most sickest things I ever saw. That's borderline child abuse.
Yo.
Sorry, you putting a 9-year-old in a music video rapping about shooting somebody with the Glock is borderline child abuse, and it needs to be said.
I just wonder where this kid's parents at. That's what I want to know. I would love to know, like, where's this kid's parents at? Like, where are you? Like, yo, how did you see your son on that camera saying stuff like that? And not one of the parents came and like checked them about that. I'm just inquiring about that. Maybe it's just me.
Gotcha. So I want to transition and continue to have the conversation that we had in the past about black media.
Okay.
So we had a good conversation last podcast,
yes,
and that clip that is on our TikTok is getting thousands and thousands of views. And we basically told from our perspective what we went through as independent journalists, as someone with independent platforms, and some of the stumbling blocks that we face. Now, something came out recently in the news a few days ago from the Big Three, Ice Cube's organization. Now, I want to use the right words, filing a lawsuit or trying to have an investigation against the NBA about interference from stopping them to shine.
Yes.
And saying that, knowing what we went through, we don't have no resources.
Yeah.
But this is Ice Cube. He has money, power, and influence, and he still has to worry about the NBA putting a stumbling block in front of him. Can you talk to what that speaks of when we talk about black media and how it's hard for us to succeed even when you have the money and resources behind you?
It's like I was saying before, like they don't really want us to be a part of it. It's okay as long as we're on the court and on the field. The minute we start talking about doing things off the court and off the field, that's when it's an issue. So, as far as with Ice Cube with his resources, that's cute, but they're not trying to hear that. They want to be in the sole control. I mean, we don't even really have any real owners, people of color. That alone tells you whether it's an MLB, NHL, NFL, or NBA. There's no real major owners. I mean, we got Magic, but I mean that's only one. So I think that I'm not shocked at what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. It's just a testament to what we've been seeing from day one. And as long as it's somewhere that's not, like the power to pay. Like they'll never have us in media because they want to control the media. They want it to be them. They don't want it to be us.
What do you think can be an outcome of this if they do somehow, if the DOJ somehow finds there is some interference? What do you think should be the outcome? What should Ice Cube do then?
I think he should sue the league. That's what I think he should do. I think he should sue the league. Because he said that they were tampering. There's an investigation being done. But he said they were tampering with his Big Three league. And the NBA keeps denying it. But it's the same thing as when Jim Trotter filed a lawsuit against the NFL. He's made it abundantly clear there's been racist statements and racist actions or behavior. We've seen it firsthand ourselves.
Yes,
We've seen it. And the players need to stop putting their head down and acting like it's not a problem. I don't care who's cutting you a check. They can't get rid of you because you're telling them, like, yo, there's the media around here. I'm starting to notice nobody looks like me. You mean to tell me there's no media that looks like me is supplying for credentials to go to these games?
Before people try to be slick, we're talking about the little guys. We're talking about the beat writers, the journalists, the photographers. We're not talking about the formerly retired player who's hooked in with Fox Sports already.
Facts. That's
where they'll go with it.
Yeah.
Well, we have such and such who used to be a minority player from. We're talking about the small people like us that are applying for media credentials.
Correct. So I think that, we get told, we respectfully decline, not even a response, stuff like that. So, I mean, they don't really want us to be there. You know what I'm saying? They want us to go away or just accept what they're telling us as a no. And if we don't, that's when it becomes a problem. So I'm not shocked about what Ice Cube's going through. I'm pretty sure what Ice Cube's going through, I'm shocked it's taking this long.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I like the fact that when Jaylen Brown over the summer played in his All-Star game on the eve of that new contract, because that tells me behind the scenes, hopefully some of the players could quietly back him. Mm-hmm. We're in chartered new territory with these contracts. These players now have 4-year, $300 million contracts.
Right.
If they can behind the scenes back Ice Cube, then that can put a little more wind in his back, in my humble opinion. And I hope that's the route he's going outside of the investigation piece.
Right.
Because they can put their hands up. See, we ain't do nothing.
Right.
We didn't block any other networks putting this, giving him a TV slot. We ain't block any other advertisers.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's where they always go to it with it. That's where they always go to it. But I'm not shocked at all. And I'm pretty sure there's a few owners in the league. I don't know about Adam Silver, but I know there's a few owners in the league that probably doesn't like what he's doing with the Big Three because they don't have any control over it. That's what that basically boils down to. That's what that all boils down to.
So, I hope Ice Cube is successful in this because it can be the start of something else, man. Mm-hmm. Even if he has to settle with them, he settles with them. They got to pay him and then move forward.
Facts.
You got anything you want to talk about?
As far as with the black media, I think that we need to just keep sticking together and keep making sure that they don't blackball us out and try to play stupid and naive like they don't do it. Also, shouts out to ESPN because they did a MEAC men's and women's basketball media day, and they did a SWAC men's and women's media day. So shout out to them for doing that. Because remember before I was talking about that, and I was like, yo, you would have thought like it was the most boringest thing you ever saw. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to before. So they definitely did their thing with that. But as far as media, we still have a long way to go. It's more than just us showing up. It's more than us just being accepted on the Zoom. We need more access and stop being treated like we need to just sit there and just, listen and not raise our hand. So, I don't know. In due time, I'll start exposing names. Since people are not answering, we'll just start exposing names and maybe you'll answer then,
So, right before we transition into sports, some of our last segments, Enveonline on our platform, although we talk our culture, hip hop, and sports, sometimes we get a little serious and we go into the politics side. So I want to briefly take time to acknowledge some of the things going on in the world. We won't go really in depth because I think there's people who are more educated on the topic to give a full analysis. But I would like to acknowledge some things. So first and foremost, I want to send my condolences and prayers to people who are affected in Maine. Yeah, so there was a mass shooting in Maine a day or two ago, and I think the guy's still at large. I'm not too for sure if they caught him.
He's still at large.
Hey, T, you said they had his house surrounded?
They went to his house. I don't know if he was there.
Okay, so apparently the guy's...
They thought he might be.
Yeah, apparently the guy's still at large. In a country with so much resources and as advanced that we got, we still keep seeming to having the same problems with these mass shootings. Now, I'm pro Second Amendment. You know, I'm all for people being able to protect themselves. I don't have an issue with that. I'm not here to debate that, but there has to be something. I don't know what. There has to be something done because I'm finding it hard to believe that these guns keep getting into people that seem to have some type of mental health issues,
right?
And they're doing mass shootings. Let me go here with this. So I'm on TikTok heavy. There was a shooting that happened when I was in high school at Columbia High School.
Okay.
Do you guys know that this person now has a TikTok account?
Are you serious?
He's out of jail. I think I talked about this briefly. The kid who shot up Columbia High School in 2004. In 2004, he did his 16. He only got 16 years. Is out of jail, now on TikTok explaining himself and getting support. Hundreds of thousands of people's, maybe he just had a rough spot. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, there's a lot of young innocent black boys that have had rough days, and they've had to protect themselves and being in certain environments and neighborhoods, and they don't get the same pass. But go ahead, keep talking.
No, I just find that interesting, and I find how they said they
TikTok page
has a. I'm not gonna blow him up, but if you're on TikTok, then you already know what I'm talking about. Hundreds of thousands of followers. What are you following? As soon as he said I'm a school shooter, I'd have said up block.
Right.
Selling products. And when you got that big of a platform, you get paid off TikTok.
Jesus.
So now he's making money off of it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
No. Boy.
So again, I want to send my heartfelt condolences to the survivors and the families and the victims of people who were a part of that mass shooting. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into this topic because there's people more educated on this than me, but I will like to send my condolences to the families who are affected in the Middle East. Mm. That's obviously a big thing right now. I don't have the answers on that, nor am I. That's such a nuanced topic that I would rather an academic speak on that, but I can at least say I hope there is a ceasefire because I'm seeing too many women and children on both sides being affected. So my heart and prayers go out to all the families affected in the Middle East during this difficult time. Hopefully the international community steps in and reach some type of way to have a ceasefire, because what I'm seeing online is disturbing. Last bit I want to touch on while we talk about the atrocities globally. Doing my research, I'm finding out about a whole nother genocide. There's apparently a silent genocide going on the continent of Africa in a specific country called the Democratic Republic of Congo. Mm-hmm. And I did a little research, so I'll speak on it lightly. So apparently, Congo is minerally rich with a mineral called coltan. Mm-hmm. Just stay with me on this one. The reason why it has to be talked about, because doing my research, I'm finding out that this mineral is used in every piece of technology that we use globally. Okay. It's used in computers hardware. It's used in iPhones. It's used in MacBook laptops. It's used in Tesla. It's used in everything.
Everywhere, yeah.
So the country is being taken for its resources by neighboring countries like Rwanda and Uganda, by puppets over there in the country. Like, I forgot the dude's name, but whatever, doesn't matter. Women and children are being used to mine coltan all types a day. They're not being paid for the resources. The resources are being exported. And over the last few years, millions and millions of people have been systematically killed in this country. And it's not being talked about. So while we have our eyes on things that happen here with mass shootings, while we have our eyes on things that's happening in the Middle East, I just wanted to take some time to shine light on what's happening in the continent of Africa in the country called Congo. Again, it's a very multi-layered subject. There's people that are more educated. I'll actually give one resource. So on Instagram, there's a guy called Shaka Bars. His name is spelled CHAKABARS, Shaka Bars. He's been boots on the ground in the continent of Africa for years. Not being exploitative, but really helping the community, raising money, building villages. And he's been talking about this for north of 7 to 8 years that I've been seeing. So if you want to learn more about it, you can go on IG and follow somebody like a Shaka Bars to really learn and educate yourself on what's happening. I just thought it was important to talk about because we benefit over here. Like I said, the natural resource is literally, when I looked it up, it's literally used in every piece of technology that we use over here in the West. You don't have an iPhone without coltan. You don't have a MacBook without coltan. You don't have electric cars like Tesla without coltan. So since we benefit and we have our brothers and sisters dying and being killed systematically in Congo, then I felt it's only right to acknowledge what's going on over there. So my heartfelt thoughts and prayers go out to the people of Congo who's suffering systematically, and hopefully they can come to some type of resolve to not be exploited. It's never good to see people being exploited for generations and being killed in the millions.
Facts.
So hearts and prayers go out to those who are being affected on the African continent and any country, but most importantly in the Congo. So let's transition into sports, man. We got a few sports topics. Where do you want to start out first?
Let's start, with do you want to start the WNBA? Did we already cover that with the Liberty? You know how they choked?
Yeah.
No, we good?
Yeah.
Especially after, no, I ain't gonna get into that. I could kind of go in. We gonna let them breathe for now. I just want to say something as a side note, without maybe it's a subliminal. Trust me, we play chess, and we are so waiting till season comes back around. We are playing chess. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So, that situation. So if you want to, we can go to the college football because I guess that's where else. That's next.
So we're gonna start with CAA.
Yeah, we start with CAA. Football.
Let's go. So we just recently went to UALBANY's homecoming where they played Rhode Island. So I want to set the scene.
Yes.
At first, looked at the weather. They said it was gonna rain, and I'm over there getting nervous because the week prior we went to a game and it was completely washed out.
Monsoon.
I was out there. I had to bring a whole extra change of clothes.
Monsoon. Yep.
They said it was going to rain. It lightly sprinkled, and then the rain stopped after the first quarter. So it was beautiful weather. The sun came out. But I want to set the tone. So both teams came in after losses. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And this game was important so they wouldn't be stuck in the middle of the pack.
Correct.
And still keep their playoffs hopes alive. Now, I'm not going to say this for clout, but 20 minutes before the game, you came over to me. You had the notes in your hand. You said to Sean,
yes,
this game is going to be about
Julian Hicks.
I'm going to go even further.
And Easton and the receivers.
You said more than that.
Okay.
You said this game is going to be about Rhode Island's corners. You specifically said Rhode Island corner 20 minutes before the game.
Yeah.
And then you said, I think Julian Hicks and Brev Easton is going to have breakout games.
Yes, I did.
Why did you call that out 20 minutes before the game?
I just saw the way they were practicing. I seen the games. We watch Rhode Island. We're going to get out there before the season ends, but we've seen Rhode Island. And I don't know what it is, but I saw the way they were moving, and I didn't like what I saw. That was just
from them practicing?
Just from them warming up, I didn't like what I saw.
What did you see?
It looked like they were undersized. It didn't look like, I don't know, it just didn't look like they, plus I've been watching games.
Okay.
So I know how Hicks and them move. So in Poffenberger, I'm saying his name right, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how good your secondary is, he's going to go after you, right? Nobody from Rhode Island I kind of saw look like they look like they can match with them.
Okay.
And they showed up in the game. The minute the game started, it showed up. They went right at them. And it was. Let me say this, it was. Well, I can get into the game. Are you going? What did you want to say? I think the disturbing part about it was, and what I noticed during the game, at one point Hicks was like, they were going right at that kid, number 23. I forgot his name. I had his name written down somewhere. I don't know where the notes is at. But Hicks, they were going after 23 from Rhode Island. I saw the defensive coordinator go to him and talk to him after he had already started getting burned. And he was like trying to like pump him up. At this point, dog, you gotta roll your coverage. You have to change your defenses. You're not changing your defense. So what you're doing is you're letting this guy get lit up on man-to-man coverage. You're calling the wrong coverages. I mean, at one point, if you remember this,
all this out.
And at one point, right before halftime, UALBANY had a chance to go deep. You know they're gonna go deep. Drop your corners and your safeties back. Play a cover 4. Just drop back 10 yards and say, look, the minute they start running, you just run right backwards till they show that, like, we know where you're going. They didn't do that. They played a man-to-man coverage. Oh, my God. And the kid got burned. I think it was Easton. He hit
Easton.
And Easton
for 80-something yards.
80-something yards. I said the game's over. The game is done.
Halftime.
Done. I think it was
28-3.
Yeah, 28-3 at halftime. So at this point, it wasn't just that they were undersized and overmanned. It was the fact that the defensive coordinator, no disrespect, he just wasn't. I mean, the coverage was bad. Now, mind you, it wasn't all their fault because Rhode Island's offense wasn't on point neither. But let me make this clear point. They had Ed Hill's gone. Mm-hmm. Johnny Cornelius is gone. The running back, what's his name? DeShields, he's gone. Those are a lot of weapons.
So Marquise DeShields was the running back last year. Yeah. Ed was the wide receiver. Yeah. And Johnny, who you named, I want to say outside tackle. Yeah. But he was on the offensive line, basically.
Right, yeah. And boy, they could have used him that day. But that wasn't gonna say the point I was gonna make. They just were getting killed. Mm-hmm. They were getting killed on the boards. I mean, on the field. They were getting destroyed. And Rhode Island didn't adjust. They never adjust. And then by the time they're getting blown out, at least try to mix some runs into the game. They didn't even do that. So, I mean, you could just give your hindsight on it, real quick.
Well, hindsight, like you said, once I saw how them first couple possessions went, it was a wrap. And the thing which is scary about UALBANY is they have a multi-layered attack.
You do.
It's not just one receiver. It's not just one tight end. They have multiple receivers, and I even think one is out. I don't know if he's really injured, but Roy Alexander hasn't played the last couple games.
Yeah, what's going on with him?
Don't know, but the point I'm making is if what they're doing with Brevin Easton and what they're doing with Julian Hicks and what they're doing with Griffin Waddell, who's a freshman running back, and what's the name of the other running back, number 0? Because he put up 100 yards too.
Oh, Aiden. Yeah.
So UALBANY has a balanced running game where multiple backs have rushed for hundreds of yards in multiple games. So you don't know if they're going to run the ball on you. Mm-hmm. Then they have a tight end by the name of Ian, number 87. Mm-hmm. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'll just say Ian, number 87, who's ill at the tight end position.
Renninger.
Yeah, Ian Renninger. Then they have multiple wide receivers that they can air you out, plus the confidence and accuracy of Reese Poffenbarger.
Yeah.
How do you shut them down? You can't.
Yeah. Unless you're gonna stop.
You're gonna stop the run. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pick you apart with Reese's IQ because he has a high IQ as a player.
You know what Rhode Island could have did? I don't know if what I would have did. I seen it. Rhode Island can score.
Yeah, we saw.
So my whole thing is like if you're gonna do it, they I don't know if they were really getting to them, but maybe you need, when you're getting burned like that, you drop your coverage. So you might drop 5 guys back there, put 5 guys back there and rush 6. You got 11 guys, rush 6. You got nothing to lose at this point. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Make them work. But it just, by the time they kind of try to switch their coverage, it was too late. And I don't think they switched their coverage. I think UALBANY just started going to the running game. Like, we're going to run the ball, and we're going to keep you off the field, and we're going to keep your defense on the field. It was breaking them down. So at this point now, they just got to him. You get what I'm saying? Like, the game was over by halftime. Let me make this clear, though. I think that's what else is bothering me about Rhode Island. I'm not saying bad things about them. if for whatever reason, they go through this every year. They start to look good. They're right there. They're looking like they're right about to go to the peak. They're right about to go in the top 4, and then they drop. And then they drop, and they take 1 or 2 losses, and then they'll come back up at the end, and they'll win, and they'll start doing what they're supposed to do. But you're in the middle of the pack, or you're trying to fight to get in the playoff spot, which technically, I want to say is they should have been in the playoffs last year. Yeah, I ain't going to go there with the CAA, but they should have been in that playoff last year. The point I'm making is that for whatever reason, they seem to right when they're ready to take that next step, they collapse. Or they take a loss here and there that hurts their chances. So, I mean, unless they run the table at this point, I don't see them making the playoffs. UALBANY, on the other hand, they have to win this game at Maine.
Okay.
If they want to go into the playoffs, they have to win this game at Maine. Because I'm going to tell you, and I'm not trying to think ahead, you have Maine, who is a hungry team, but you got to go up there. So you got to be careful about that also.
The weather, the environment.
Right, you got to be careful about that. Secondly, you got William and Mary coming. And I know they took a loss, but William and Mary is not really playing. How can I put this? They're not playing to just win. They're not playing for William and Mary's mentality is coming in this season. They're playing to get into the playoffs and dominate and get to the championship. They're playing to get a championship. They ain't playing to just get in the playoffs. That's not William and Mary. That's not the team you're going to be facing. So take care of business with Maine. You know what I mean? And you should be okay.
So let's not think too far ahead, but hypothetically, if UALBANY takes care of business versus Maine, because a preview of last year, Reese Poffenberger threw a crazy in between game run into Julian Hicks. I still remember that play where he zipped it from the hip, bam, hit him for the game winning touchdown.
Okay.
If somehow UALBANY beats Maine and then takes care of business at home against William and Mary, where does that put them?
Top 3.
That puts them as a top 3 in the CAA.
Yeah. You know what? Matter of fact, I think about it. If I pull it up, let's see. I thought I took it today. So with today's record, I mean, UALBANY is 5-3.
Okay.
They have, even with that record, they're ranked number 5 in the conference. So if they take care of tomorrow's business, they got Maine right now. Press time, they're gonna play Maine tomorrow. So Maine, who is 2-6, if they win tomorrow, that puts them at 6-3. They will easily be in the top 4, whether Villanova wins or not, because Elon's 4-4 overall.
Yeah, so they'll jump up over that.
Yeah. So UALBANY, if they win tomorrow, they're in the top 4.
They might can go up in the top 2,
and if
depending on how the chips fall.
Facts, and I think whether Gattuso wants to admit it or not, he would be happy with that at this point. You know what I mean?
Because somehow Elon loses and Richmond loses, and UALBANY wins, they jump up to the top 2 seed. That's
facts.
Or the top 3, because then Villanova, basically.
Yeah, and they took it to Villanova. The thing that they might give them a chance, not to, like you said, not to look forward ahead of time, but with William and Mary, they got William and Mary in their backyard. As opposed to, you see, when Villanova came here, UALBANY took it to them. Villanova didn't have an answer for him at all. You know, so if you look at what is it? If you look at their play, conference play, they've pretty much done what they're supposed to do. UALBANY has done what they're supposed to do. They've only lost 1 game in the conference. That's it.
New Hampshire.
Yeah, the New Hampshire.
And they had that game.
And they shouldn't have lost that game either. So, you know, if you look at UALBANY, if they continue to play the way that we think they can play or people expect them to play, they'll be hosting a playoff game. That's where they're going.
You gonna put that in the universe?
Yeah, I think they'll be hosting a playoff game. I think we'll be back to what we was before COVID hit.
Okay.
You know, I think Gattuso has a complete team, because what nobody else talks about is that pass rush. That pass rush
defense.
Is lethal. Yeah. That secondary got better, and that pass rush.
Anton Jukan.
Yeah, and Dylan, what is his name, man?
Dylan Kelly. Number
Kelly,
42.
The one that leads in tackles, or Beaston. He's
that
he's
defense
a beast.
Is so illmatic defense.
Yeah. They put a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
Number 93, Elijah Hill. He does his thing on the line.
Their secondary looks better because I think their secondary is not playing zone, trying to stop everybody getting past them. The secondary is playing like man up coverage, like they're not getting beat. And it starts with that
number
line.
7 in the secondary, Larry?
Yes.
He's ill.
Yeah.
See, I remember all this. They got an ill defense, man.
Yeah, they're not playing cover 2, cover zone. They're playing. The one thing about, if you know, people know about football. Football has attest to this. You can play a cover 2 because, you know, Tampa used to play that a lot. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they had the top defense in the league. But you had all those guys in the front line that could get to the quarterback. So if you got 4 guys that's up front that can get to the quarterback, there's 7 people dropping back and they're just sitting back playing zone. They're manning up on the line. The receivers are getting pressed on the line, but they're not getting free. And then when they get past the corner lets them go. They're running into linebackers and safeties.
Okay.
That's not something you want to deal with. So I think with UALBANY, it's just kind of like the same thing. As opposed to, I don't really see them playing that type of coverage. But at the end of the day, they have a front 4 that can get to you. So there's 7 guys that can just sit back and just watch what you're doing, what you're going to do. And especially like when they're playing like a team, like when they jump on a team like, see with Rhode Island, they ignored the run.
They got defensive backs like Amir Hall. He be getting it done too.
Yeah, they ignored the run. They wasn't even looking at the run no more. They was looking at, now they're teeing off. And now you got 7 guys just sitting there waiting for Kasim Hill to just start throwing the ball.
A.J. Simon.
Yes.
He's A.J. Simon, Anton, Bill Hackett. They got an L defense. And the reason why I named them, because I want to give the defense their credit.
Yes.
That's why I was listing names like Dylan Kelly, Elijah Hill, all of them, Larry. That defense is well prepared every game.
Facts.
And you guys deserve a ton of credit. So salute to that defense. You guys do your thing every game.
Yes. Super facts.
So you got them hosting the playoff game.
I think so. I think you be hosting a playoff game. I think when you asked me, like last week, we weren't really sure because we were kind of just coming out of everything we're coming out of. But when I'm looking at it, there's Delaware, there's Villanova.
I can't stand Delaware.
No, I can't stand Delaware, man.
Since they beat Delaware State umpteen years ago, man. Yo, back since Joe Flacco.
Oh.
Joe Flacco played for Delaware.
We're going to get into that real quick, but I'm going to let that go for a few seconds because we're still on this topic. But I'm going to do an audible in a minute.
Okay. You got an audible?
Yeah.
All right.
But Delaware, I see Delaware. I see UALBANY. I see Villanova. Who's another team I want to say? Not Elon. I maybe Elon, but I can't see them running the table like that.
So you got 3 teams. Who the 4th team, champ? Say it again. You got Delaware, UALBANY.
I'm gonna say Richmond.
That's 3. Who was the 4th?
No, it was Delaware, Villanova, UALBANY. Oh, William and Mary. William and Mary. I still think William.
So which one is it?
I think William and Mary. William and Mary.
So these are the top 4 teams. You said Delaware,
UALBANY,
Villanova,
and William
and Mary.
They'll be back. William and Mary will be back. I really think those are the top 4 teams.
One of y'all, please knock off Delaware, man. Please,
dude. Come on, man. We might have to go there somewhere.
They've been catching wreck for years.
So to call an audible, I want to address something that's being said, and we know just personally because we actually cover. We don't just take pictures. Yep, it's going to go in my soliloquy. We don't just go and take pictures and look like we're at a game and look at me and we're all about the HBCUs when we're really not. Let's just call that what that is. I'm still not naming names yet, but you only got one more time, and we're going to call you out. Second, like I'm hearing about the teams like, you know, the HBCUs like Hampton and North Carolina A&T, I'm sorry. And it was like, there goes the neighborhood. What do you mean, there goes the neighborhood?
I need context because you got to remember, people are going to see this and say, what is he talking about?
I think Brian is joining, and there's somebody else coming, but I think Brian is joining.
But what I'm really getting at, you're referring to an article you read. Yeah.
And it was Hampton, because Hampton, you know, is not really doing well. They're getting blown out. And I think a lot of people are not really happy about that with the HBCUs. Hampton's getting blown out. And I think North Carolina A&T, they're starting to figure out this is going to take time. They just got here. Okay? So let's just call this what it is. And we've talked about this before. I keep seeing and I keep hearing about how, you know, the HBCUs, because Eddie George has made a comment about like the fans don't really care. It's not that the fans don't really care. Look at what you got. You got Tennessee State playing in a NFL stadium. You know they can't fill that stadium, man. So it's the same thing, but not to cross over, but to cross back to what I'm making a point of. You can't sit there and complain to HBCUs. We needed to be in the CAA. This is what Deion is trying to been saying, but he didn't say it because he bit his tongue and he kept it moving. While they trying to call him a sellout and him selling his soul, the reality of it is he didn't sell his soul. He just left it alone because he saw what was going on. Let's just keep it 100. So at the end of the day, you're over here. How do you HBCUs, y'all are, it's like they're stuck in time. They don't want to acknowledge like, yo, your time is coming. We need to come out of the mid-majors. We don't even have one in the major levels. They said the HBCUs are underfunded because we never went up another level. We just sat in the mid-majors. We never had a TV deal. You never did anything. You get paid to come to a big-time school and get blown out. I don't understand why you're doing this. What is wrong with y'all? Y'all are stuck in time. This is going to take time. And this is why Hampton wanted out of the MEAC. Let's call that what it is. North Carolina A&T wanted out of the MEAC. They all wanted out. I'm telling you, the MEAC is what, down to 6 teams? Really? Y'all are barely functioning. And at the end of the day, Hampton has dominated that. We saw that when they're playing. That's why they start off well, because they've already mastered that level. They're now trying to get to the next level. So with Prunty, it's going to take time. I get it. They're getting beat, but it's going to take time. How could you not want the HBCUs to move up a level? I mean, this has been going on for years. We are not back in the day where segregation and you got to go to HBCUs and that's how you get drafted. They're not even looking over there no more because they got all the players going to SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, all this, and y'all are not keeping up with the Joneses. Y'all not doing anything. Y'all just sitting here in the corner. And people are wanting to go to a tailgate party. Then we wondering why when they get up to a higher league like the NFL, y'all not wondering why like this is happening and why we're not, because we're far behind. We're not up with the times. How was the SWAC and the MEAC not saying, yo, let's get together, call Tennessee State, call Hampton, call North Carolina A&T, say let's the conference, and say go to the TV networks and say, look, you back us, this is what we're going to do. You can't recruit kids in Power 5 to go to Power 5 schools to come there. What are you going to offer them? Flow sports? No disrespect? What are you going to offer them? The only time a scout's going to see you is in the Celebration Bowl. Maybe the SWAC championship game. But what else are you going to see them at? If Tennessee State doesn't win, I think they'll go to the FCS playoffs, the one that UALBANY goes to. Mm-hmm. But they're never going to go to a bowl game. Mm. What bowl games do you got for these kids to be seen if they go to the HBCUs? What do you have for these kids? These kids, remember what we was talking about? And I'm not going to touch basketball, but remember what we was talking about? These kids, the schools are not playing the conferences. They keep going to play. There's a school, I ain't going to say their name, but I saw it, and this is on the women's side. They were going to play like LSU and Baylor, and I'm looking like, how come you don't come and play the mid-majors like in OVC or come up here to NEC or the Ivy League? Play the top schools in that. Why don't you master that first? So it's the same thing with the SWAC and MEAC. Why are you not playing teams like Fordham? Why are you not playing teams like the MAC, like a Buffalo? Why aren't you not playing the teams? So you can't be playing Syracuse. Why don't you go play in New Hampshire? Yeah. Why are we not seeing that?
Play at Siena.
Yeah, Siena don't got a football team. But basketball. Okay, yes. I get what you're saying. But why are you not playing those mid-majors to compete, to go up to the next level? That's what James Madison did. Look at where James Madison's at now. You know, they're ranked number 20.
Yep.
And I'm not talking
in the country.
Right, in the country. Because they create a program and say, look, this is what we're going to do. This is where we're going to go. And this is how we're going to move. Y'all not doing that. Y'all keep saying we the MEAC and we're good. Okay. I hope you're still relevant in 5 years. And where are all those kids going to go then? Where are they going to go then? Huh? They're going to go to a school somewhere that don't look like them because they can fund them and back them. UALBANY can do it. New Hampshire can do it. Maine can do it, but you can't because you're not going to have a conference. Keep it up. Keep it up.
And your solution, because we talked about this a few months ago in a clip that went viral, your suggestion was the commissioner and the MEAC and the commissioner of the SWAC need to get together behind closed doors, making a shake a hand, and combine conferences to make a super conference, if I'm correct. That's what you were talking about?
Or somebody there needs to be a school that gets pushed up, and they need to go to it's the FBS and FCS. I forgot the FBS is the major one, the major one, where Georgia and all them at, right?
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be HBCU that goes up to there, and they need to go into the AAC conference or wherever to a conference like the MAC or the AAC, wherever you want to put them at, and say, look, we're going to put this school up here, and you're going to showcase your talents, and you're going to be able to recruit kids. I don't understand why they're not. There's not one HBCU school up there. There's a massive amount of HBCUs, and not one of them can get up there. You don't find that odd? So either you're down with this program to keep them stagnated and backtracked, or you just that naive. Either way, it looks bad. Don't know what to tell you. So I just wanted to call that audible because that was the most stupidest. It was. I got what they were saying. They were offended by the comment that was made. There goes the neighborhood, which is, we know what that means. But I which is completely irrelevant. I think I'm just mad because at the end of the day, when I'm starting to look, as time's going on, where I hear Dr. Umar, not to keep going, I hear Dr. Umar Johnson talking about, well, he should have stayed there. Stayed there and did what? You ain't gonna get no power, no big kid to come there and keep coming and keep coming. Them kids not gonna keep coming there. The only reason they was looking at Jackson State was because Dion was there, and he got Travis Hunter and he had his son there. What else? And I think Bolden, who's now with the Patriots. But otherwise than that, who else did he have? How is he going to get seen on TV? Who's watching Jackson State games? Has College Game Day come there yet? Nope. Don't know. Ain't seen him at an HBCU thing there. See what I'm talking about? You see how easily it slid right off.
Yep.
And so y'all didn't want to listen to Dion. Y'all didn't want to help Dion. Y'all say he was selling out. Well, good luck. You stand strong. We'll see what happens in the next 5 years. Hell, maybe the Celebration Bowl might not even be on no more. But we'll see. So and NFL players, you ain't exempt neither, because y'all know better. But go ahead.
We got a few more sports topics. Let's stay within college sports.
Okay.
So we'll shift quickly to UALBANY women's basketball.
Yes.
So we see the tweet, we see the Instagram post they released.
We did.
That Hagerstein is coming back for her 5th year.
Yes.
How major is that for UALBANY's women's basketball?
Super major. I think, number one, let me also say this. Coach Colleen Mullen, great coach. I think she doesn't get the credibility. I keep saying that. I think within the conference, she gets the credibility and respect. But I think outside, I don't think she gets the respect she deserves. One day her story will be told. She has done a lot for that team. But I think for Hagerstein to come back, that's very big. Because when the season ended, we all thought they were going to just run it back. Come find out, Grace Heaps left. Morgan left. Morgan Haney left. Freda Worth is no longer there, I guess. I didn't see her on the roster either. And then Hane, she's done. Her eligibility was up, and so was Lucia. So they were both gone. So you're talking about 4 or 5 players, and then
critical players.
And Hagerstein was out of there too. So once you saw the post come up, now they got Herder. No, I heard it. Am I saying it right? Yes, I am. Okay, because I thought I had this all figured out. They got the young lady from Providence.
Okay.
They have the other young lady from Fordham. They have Fatima. They have Kayla Cooper.
Okay.
So even before Hagerstein came back,
they had an L squad.
They had an L squad coming. But now with Hagerstein, that puts you right back up there. You're right. So it makes you look like
got another 20-point scorer.
They were gonna have to. It looked like, to be honest with you, they could do what they did last year. It was just gonna be a little tougher. With Hagerstein coming back, that takes so much off.
Because what I saw from last season, when healthy, when she's in her mode, and you got Kayla Cooper in her mode, them two easily can go off to combine for 40 to 50 points.
Facts.
With multiple rebounds. From their size, from their rebounding ability, and from their mid-range shooting for both of them. So with them doing that, with her coming back and adding the young lady from Providence that you just said.
Yeah. It was Herder. It is Herder. Okay. I got her name right. And then there's Sarah Carpel. That's who she was, Sarah.
Okay.
So Sarah Carpel. So now you just got all this talent. And for Coach Mullen to have those young ladies, it's like a kid in a candy shop. She has like now she has a kid in a toy shop. She has like all these toys to play with, and I hope that's the right analogy. Like people get what I'm saying. Like you just have these toys to play with, and you know that they're all great toys. And if you put them together, you're gonna have a great day.
She's a good coach. She'll figure it out.
So she got a lot of toys to play with to basically get back to where they was at. And not last year, the year before last.
Yeah,
also.
I think it's important because the player came back from Maine too. The girl that we didn't know.
I know you're talking about the forward. Yes. Yeah.
She came back.
She's a beast.
So that pits Maine back up there as well.
Her and Ann Simon.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, you're talking about, okay.
So Ann Simon came back for a 5th year. That's why I think that was important because you want to be right up there with Maine and Vermont. Yeah. At the end of the year.
I from the way I'm looking, Vermont, knowing that Coach Craig, she'll have them on point. I just kind of feel you saw with UALBANY. I saw with UALBANY last year. They got everybody's best game. Everybody treated them like
it was their championship
game. So like even if they played them the first time,
remember UMass Lowell
when they came back the second time to play UALBANY, it's like they were playing like trying to play a perfect perfectionist game that I didn't see before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like to make a good point. I just saw them get their perfect game. I know the Vermont coach will have them at that. But you just got to remember, it's a different thing when everybody's playing you like their perfect game. Mm-hmm. They are looking at you like a homework assignment. They're not looking at you like we're trying to come here and punch you in the face. We're looking at here, we're trying to beat you like a homework assignment.
What I like though, because of those key players came back for UALBANY, is they've been together for years. Yeah. Fatima is a perfect role player, and I hope I see her starting in some games this year as a 5th-year player. Mm-hmm. She understands her role. She knows how to roll with the starters. Mm-hmm. She creates the energy off the bench. And if she's starting, she'll definitely create the energy. Kayla Cooper is a monster.
Facts.
She's an All-American player.
Facts.
So is Helen Hagerstrand. I hope I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Yeah. Monster, All-American player. Okay. So you got multiple All-American players. You got the energy with Fatima Lee. You got a great coach mind with Coach Mullen. And then you got
Sarah and you got Herder. You got those two coming. So now you're going to really have a problem. And let me say this with Hagerstrand. If I remember correctly last year, if the Vermont championship game, I was there. Coach Mullen, she said in the press conference, she said if I had to go back, I would have changed what was going on, what I did, how the way I coached that game. Because I know it was egging her. I'm gonna tell you what I saw personally. I can't speak for Coach Mullen. I haven't talked to her yet, so I don't know. She went into that game the same mentality she went in with Maine. I mean, the championship game with Maine. She ran that through Grace and Hane and Morgan. Yep. Which is what I would have did the same thing, but I didn't. I'm telling you, it didn't hit until the 4th quarter. Hagerstrand was the one that was the hot hand. We didn't know it until the 4th quarter. Minute. So by the time Hagerstrand, everybody realized Hagerstrand was a hot hand. It was too late. Yeah. But had they got Hagerstrand going in the second quarter, it would have been over. That game wouldn't even have been close. And that's no shot at Vermont, because shout outs to Vermont because they knew
they pushed the pace on the other end. Remember, I saw an old girl fly up the floor in 4 seconds.
Outrunning them all. But they also knew about they kind of had an idea. You could kind of see they were making sure it wasn't going to be Kayla, and it was making sure with Grace and all them. They kind of knew how to defend them. So shouts out to Vermont. But I'm telling you, had Coach Mullen figured out that Hagerstrand was the hot hand sooner than later, I think we would have been talking this year on the Zoom about how they went to the
back
big
to the tournament again.
Facts. I truly believe that. So now, this year, man, she's going to do it. And you're gonna get that on video. You get Hagerstrand on video all the time, lacing it up. That's
definitely
how we know.
Big things for the American East Conference. Mm-hmm. Wish Coach Mullen the best this season, and all the student athletes in American East, even on the men's side. We're gonna see great things in American East.
Facts. Yeah.
We got 1 or 2 more topics that we could squeeze in. So, there's my audible. Okay. So this just came up. Mm-hmm. James Prima Donna Harden. We got to talk about this, man. Yeah, this is ridiculous because we talked about this last year when we first started the podcast, when we were discussing Brooklyn and that whole mess. The news has came out now that James Harden, obviously from the summer when he called out the president Morey, oh, he's a liar, blah, 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 and how he's not showing up to training camp and he's trying to wiggle himself out of this situation for the third time. Did it in Houston, did it in Brooklyn, and now you're burning bridges in Philly. Before I go in, what do you have to say about James Prima Donna Harden?
Super clown. Super clown. That's if you want me to use a word. Now you want me to go into what I feel about that. He first of all, he's a spoiled brat and a child. And I don't care. Like, yo, he did this in Houston. And remember when I went into my spill about him, I said,
gave him everything he wanted.
That's why it's funny about him and Daryl Morey. Now, I don't know what Morey did to him or said to him to make him feel this way because they was tight at the hip. But you ate your way out of Houston. And you did that.
Literally.
And let me call this out. Let me use the race car real quick. You did that to a black coach. First year head black coach.
You threw him down the drain.
Threw him down the drain. Threw him under the bus, right?
Paul Silas.
Right. Yes, you threw him right under the bus. So you messed up the team. You made it a whole mess. Houston's still trying to rebuild.
Made a bad example to them younger players.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And then took you behind up into the Brooklyn. You wanted out of there. Well, we can't blame you because Kyrie and his ignorant behind. But you wasn't going to do anything anyway because I think he choked in it. Yeah, he didn't do great in Brooklyn either. Then he went to Philly, right? Because he's all happy to get back with Morey. They gave you the money. They traded for you. They did everything they needed to do, right? And then it didn't work out. Now you're unhappy and you're like, Daryl Morey's a liar and I want to leave. This is the third time. Why do people? And the thing about it is, I don't think Harden understands. Like, there was two teams that was interested, but one. So there was reports that he wanted to go to Houston. Ime Udoka sat down, talked to him, and the minute he heard his conversation, he's like, "Nah, we good."
Now
I'm not
players
dealing
they got
with
over
this.
there with Asar Thompson and all them,
Right.
Jalen Green.
He said, "We okay." Then I heard the Clippers are interested, but they sitting back like, really? You think we gonna give anything? We already know his value is crap. And I'm being nice when I use that word. They already know it. So they're in no hurry to do it. And on top of that, I don't know if you, not to cut you off, I don't know if you noticed, Russell Westbrook is over there
doing
balling.
Great. Boom. Homeboy jumping out the gym.
So at this point, I don't know how this is going to work where you want to bring Harden in there to mess up. Why would you want to bring him to your team? And then this is the thing.
But he does a crossover step back 3-pointer.
How many championships has he won? Matter of fact, let me be gangster about this. OKC was comfortable letting you walk out the door. They didn't really want to let Durant walk out the door. They just knew they couldn't hold him. They kept Westbrook because they wanted to. They let you walk out the door. They said, we're okay. We're okay. So you only been to one finals, and that was with Durant and Westbrook, right? Let's call that what that is. You went to Houston, showed up, you did your thing, but you never could get to the finals. You went to Brooklyn, that was a whole mess, and you really didn't help Durant there either. Then you went to Philly, and now you were in that whole mess, and now you went out of there, and you didn't get them anywhere either. And I think you played a part with the whole Doc Rivers thing.
Kevin Garnett made an interesting point on his podcast. Kevin Garnett has a great podcast. He said, look, man, you 34, you at that age where they're pushing older players out the league. You only got so many wiggles. This was his terminology. You only got so many wiggles. Usually they give an older player one wiggle. He's like, James Harden, you're on your third wiggle, dog. You don't have no more left.
Yeah.
They will push you out the league as great as you are.
AKA Iverson. Yeah.
That was where I was going with it.
Yeah.
People don't remember how ill Allen Iverson was when he was pushed out the league in his mid-30s. He had another 3 or 4 seasons of high-level basketball.
Facts. Preach, D.
He was this age, 34. Allen Iverson could have still played, averaging 20 points a game, probably for another at least 3 seasons.
Yep.
They was like, we don't want it no more. And that was Allen Iverson, who, can I say it? Way better than James Harden.
Yep. Sure was.
So if they push Allen Iverson out the league, why won't they do it to James Harden? What is he not getting? Who's going to trade for him? You want what package to go to Philly?
This is the thing, too, and I feel bad. I don't feel bad for any organization, but what I'm saying, I guess for the situation, let me put it that way. I want you to think about this. And I think the dude that the former general manager for Golden State made a good point. But this is the mentality I have, and that's why I wanted to say before I made the statement. People are saying you want Joel Embiid to stay there, so you gotta do something to show him. Say
he's about to start asking for his way out. Go ahead.
We are fully committed to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You only get one swing, so I'm pretty sure Philly has draft picks or whatever. I don't know what they got to give.
They ain't got a lot, buddy.
I don't know what they got, but they only got one swing. So what are you gonna tell? You know you can't really get much for him. So I would tell Embiid, I don't know what you're gonna do, but I can tell you right now, and you know this. I can tell you, we've been around people. This is what the GMs know what they can get for James Harden right now at this point. I would go to Joel Embiid and say, look, this is what I can get for him. I know it doesn't look good, but right now this is what we're stuck with. Now, if you want to leave, I'll get you down the line. But if I push this guy out, don't think we're gonna get somebody that's going to help you like a Trae Young or what Marcus Smart went to somewhere. You're not going to get that. Not right now. But give us time and we will. But we got to get this guy out of here. And we just got to take it for whatever we can get. Now, on the flip side of it, you only got one swing with him. You don't want to give up whatever you have left. I think the guy that used to be the Golden State, I forgot his name. He was on First Take the other day. And he made a good point. Because I remember the Lakers pulled this mess. And you only get one good swing because you make that one good swing, right? Mm-hmm. You give up draft picks, you give up players or whatever. We saw it in Brooklyn. Look at what Brooklyn's going through right now. As competitive as they are and as good as they're going to be, look at what they're going through right now.
They're in rebuild phase
because everything they gave for Kevin Durant, they gave all that.
Gave draft picks, they gave good players.
Facts. All that for Durant and getting Kyrie, all that. They gave all that up. That was the one swing. It took that one swing, and I'm not mad at Brooklyn. Nobody's mad at Brooklyn.
Gamble.
We all knew it. We all
acceptable.
Nobody's calling them stupid. We all know. We all would have did it, but they took that one swing, and now look where they're at. So I would tell Ben Simmons but Joel Embiid, this is what we're dealing with. And we could take a swing, but we'll be just like Brooklyn. Do you really want to be stuck like that?
Here's my prediction: either James Harden gets his ish together and come back and compete this season. If he pushes his way out, Joel Embiid has to follow. He's getting up there in age. I think he's 30. Mm-hmm. And he has a past of being injured or breaking down during the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's one of those big players who, after the age of 32, 33, as good as he is, we might see a Patrick Ewing with him. No disrespect.
Yeah.
He knows he only has two or three seasons to play at a high level. Why would I stay in Philly for another rebuild?
Yeah.
He's going to start going public on his Twitter and on his Instagram. Yo, look, I did everything I could do, Philly. Got to get me out of here. I gave y'all 10 years. The process is over. Hey, see if you could trade Anthony Davis for him. Get him over there with LeBron.
Yeah. That's a good idea, D.
Joel, you don't want to go to LA with LeBron? I think you would get your big butt down in the block and grab rebounds and score 30 points consistently. Consistently. Not one game where you score 15 points in a half and then in the second half you don't grab no rebounds.
There you go, man. You blowing that up.
That was NBA opening night with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Now the Lakers did win yesterday.
Yes.
Against the injured Phoenix. With no Devin Booker.
Oh, Booker wasn't playing?
Nope. No okay. Devin Booker. No Bradley Beal. And they barely scraped by 4 points. And KD went off. Woo.
Right. Yeah, what else?
He's consistent at being inconsistent. That's why I said, hey, maybe trade Anthony Davis.
I would have the
for Joel Embiid.
This is the thing. I'm with you. If I have the conversation with Embiid and it looks like he's not interested, I'm getting him out of there. I'm like, we'll get you out of here and we'll just rebuild. I'm just not gonna go through it. I'd rather just deal with it now than deal with it later.
They don't want to admit they made a mistake with not keeping Jimmy Butler when they paid Tobias Harris.
What was that about? Why didn't they keep Butler?
Joel Embiid liked Butler.
So who didn't like Butler? Why was he not brought back?
Don't know, but they are not going to admit it until Joel Embiid is out that as good as Tobias Harris was 2 or 3 seasons ago, he wasn't on a Jimmy Butler level.
Oh, absolutely not.
Jimmy Butler took that team to the championship by himself the first time. Second time he had help when he beat Boston.
Mm-hmm.
He's been to multiple finals. Can you say that about Tobias Harris?
No. Maybe you send Joel Embiid down there
to Miami.
Yeah,
nah, I want him in the West Coast. Get him out.
Go. That's you being a Boston fan.
That's me being a Boston Celtic fan.
Yeah, but
shout out to the Celtics because they did their thing with Kristaps Porzingis and Jason Tatum. But NBA opening night was interesting. It's going to be parity with both the East and the West. But I just had to talk about James Prima Donna Edward Harden Jr.
He's part of that cycle of players that was. You know, like Kyrie and them nagging and belly aching.
You haven't heard nothing from Kyrie, have you? It's been pretty quiet in Dallas.
I'm shocked. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
He's not having an episode.
Because he don't got too many wiggles himself.
Yeah.
One more, they could push him out. But James Harden, like Kevin Garnett said, he only has one more wiggle before he's out, talking about he's retiring early at the age of 34, 35. When he should be competing for championships.
He doesn't play any defense.
It's not that. He's a good player. He's just the last 3 teams you were dysfunction.
Yeah.
I don't want you around my younger players. I don't want you around my draft picks. Look what you did to Paul Silas. It was disgusting.
Facts.
Look what you did to get out of there. Look what you did to Brooklyn. Look what you're doing to Joel Embiid. This is Joel Embiid time to compete for a championship.
Yeah.
Very selfish.
And let's be honest, the way I'm seeing Milwaukee, nobody's paying attention.
I am as a Celtic fan.
I know nobody's paying attention, and I'm telling you,
it's going to be them and Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals.
It's no disrespect to C.J. McCollum. I think he was a great player with Damian Lillard in Portland, but that's Giannis, and I see the difference.
And Brook Lopez and Middleton.
And you got Middleton. And you got, what is that?
Bobby Portis.
So you got.
And they're all 6'11".
And you got Damian Lillard. And you know what he can do. We've seen that in Portland.
He put up 39 points last game.
You got him with Giannis now. And it's a different world. You know with Damian Lillard, you're going to make a playoffs. When you got Giannis with him, it's like a finals. Miami ain't even going to be in the conversation. They need to just quit.
It's just like somebody said. You got the Bucks, you got the Celtics. This is from a talent perspective, and if everybody's healthy, you got the Bucks, Celtics, and then even the teams after that, it's a big drop off. Then it's everybody else.
Yeah,
healthy. Now, obviously, injuries happen, injuries happen, but I see them too healthy. In the Eastern Conference Finals, fighting. You got anything you want to add to that?
I don't know. I mean, even with the Knicks, that was the point. That's the point I was making. Some people were saying the Knicks need to make a trade. You only got one swing. You swing one time and you do what Brooklyn did, you're going to be in world of trouble. And no disrespect to Brooklyn because they're in Brooklyn and everybody pays attention, but you ain't the Knicks. If you belly this up, everybody will see it.
I'm going to give them the play. And I'm not the only person who said this. NBA analysts have said this. Go look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. They got Rudy Gobert. They got Anthony Edwards, this is his team as a 22-year-old, and pieces. But then they got Karl Anthony Towns. One of those 3 have to go.
You think so?
Just go with me. It ain't going to be Anthony Edwards because it's his team.
Yeah,
it's probably not going to be Rudy Gobert.
For all those draft picks they gave up, absolutely not.
No. You see where I'm going with this? See if you can poach 7-foot Karl Anthony Towns, who's still young, who still has a lot of game. I don't know his age, but he's young. See if you can get Karl Anthony Towns without depleting your team. That's the key. Yes, you can make trades, but you cannot deplete your team. You got Jalen Brunson, R.J. Barrett, and see if you can make Karl Anthony Towns your third. Because I'm not too for sold on Randall with his antics. Sometimes he feels like playing, and then he's beefing with the media because they're asking me questions after the game about why I'm not performing. And see if somehow you can get Karl Anthony Towns in a New York Knicks jersey without depleting your team, and that's the play. Got anything else?
No, sounds like a good idea. That's all I can
That's the only gem I'm gonna give y'all Knicks fans.
Yeah.
So before we close, you got any other sports topics you want to bring up, NFL or anything?
I think, other than what we saw, you still feel like firing Matt Canada after the Steelers in first place?
Yes. It's not like, yo, check this.
This is a quick take. This
is a quick take. Yeah. So ask me that again.
Do you feel like firing Matt Canada after the Steelers are now first place after the game they won last week against the Rams?
As a diehard Pittsburgh fan, since 1993, since I was a 5 and 6 year old little boy, I'm tired of mediocrity. We're close to being like the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, we won in 2008 and went back in 2010 and lost. We're in 2023 going to 2024. It's no longer acceptable to be 500 with the talent we keep bringing in and losing. His offense, you read the offense a couple podcasts ago where we didn't have one 300-yard game in multiple seasons in that conference. The stat you read was disgusting. So I'm glad we're winning. Despite the offense, I want to say it's the defense because we got T.J. Watt, who's the defensive player of the year and probably the MVP as a defense player. Peterson, we got such a safety, we have such an illmatic defense as covering the gaping holes in the offense. Okay, we beat the Rams. Congratulations. We still got Lamar Jackson in the conference that we're going to have to see in the playoffs.
Joe Burrow.
Still got Joe Burrow in the conference.
Deshaun Watson.
Still got Deshaun Watson in the conference. So if he wants to stay, then you can't fall off. You can't, we're number one, because we see how that changes. We're what, 8 games in? How many games we got left? 6?
No, got
7
more.
Oh, 9, my bad. My apologies. We got 9 more. But that's still a lot of football left. Things could change. So I'm glad we won. I think them adding in, I want to say the running back Warren, number 20, Warren over Najee Harris. I love Najee Harris, but he's a couple years ago. Warren seems like a more complete back. Insert Warren, or maybe start Warren over Najee Harris, and keep changing the offense, because I'm not satisfied. I don't want to see a 3-game skid and then we're talking about, maybe we're going to be 8-8 again. We're 8-8. He's 500. He's 500 again. He did it.
Right.
He didn't have a losing season.
Yeah. Well, considering what they give him, man, I mean, that's very accomplishing.
It's accomplishing, but it's, again, we're the Steelers. We don't want to turn into the Dallas Cowboys. No disrespect to the Dallas Cowboys. Remember when we won that Super Bowl in the 90s? We're close to turning into that.
Oh, God.
Am I lying?
I got no words, man. No, you're not lying.
We're very close to sounding like the Dallas Cowboys as the Steelers. Remember when we won that playoff game in 2003? Remember when we won that championship in 2008? They're going to be like, yo, dog, it's 2029. That was 20-something years ago. How many 500 seasons have you had? Well, he's 500. Okay. Like, I want to see us get back to the championship, win or lose. If we lose, I can eat that, because that means we got to the championship. Then we can build. Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year with Kenny Pickett. But we got to get way beyond fucking 8-8. Okay. Give me 10-6. Give me 11-5. Okay. I'm not saying this, but what do you think the Steelers, with their remaining schedule, could finish off?
They keep winning like this. I would say 10-6. They're looking at 10-6. Definitely 10-6. You know what I'm saying? I think definitely 10-6. Because I think they're going to lose some games.
So they got Jacksonville next. Conference. They got Jacksonville next. What do you think that is?
I think they'll win that.
They got Jacksonville, Tennessee, Green Bay.
They'll beat Green Bay. Tennessee, they should win that game also.
So let's go on a 3-game winning streak, and then that would be 5 games.
Yep.
You do that, I'll shut the hell up. If the Pittsburgh Steelers beat Jacksonville, they beat Tennessee, they beat Green Bay, which would be 5-game winning streak, I'll shut the hell up about Matt Canada. That's my take on that. So that answers the question.
Okay. All right. Got you.
How you want to end this?
So he's got to win his 3 games, and you'll stop saying fire Canada.
It's not me. It's everybody.
Yeah, I know.
It's diehard Pittsburgh fans. It's sport analysis. It's journalists I'm following on Twitter. They're like, yeah, we won, but I don't know. Again, we are this close to being the Dallas Cowboys of our division. Go ahead.
I just think that damn, that's bad. That's really bad.
We're this close.
Yo, I ain't gonna say nothing, man. I'm gonna leave that alone.
How you want to end this?
I just, I wanted to say, what, as far as like everything that we talked about today, or,
in general, you got anything else you want to add?
I just, just how far we've come and everything we've done, up to this point. Just even with the podcast alone, everything we had to pioneer through, because a lot of people don't know what we sacrificed. You know what I mean? As far as
in this black media space,
yeah,
definitely,
and we one of the very few that actually do what we say we're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just happy, man. We got a lot more to do and a lot more to accomplish.
And be on the lookout, because we're starting to, if you've been following our podcast, we're starting to jump back in the hip hop lane.
Yeah.
There's more hip hop content coming.
Super facts.
So don't be surprised if we start throwing up some hip hop interviews pretty soon.
Yeah, we got this.
Shout out to everybody tuned in, whether it's one person or 1,000. You're watching the Enveonline Podcast. You're rocking with your host, Son of a Jones.
Azar Johnson.
God bless.
One.